Mini versus Winnipeg. Right now, I have to stop saying. It makes a big difference. I could probably use this microphone tonight.
Well, we're live, and they probably couldn't hear you very well, so that's good.
Yeah.
This is the DLLS Stars Pregame Show. We're talking about standings. Can the Calgary Flames sneak in? Lutz doesn't think so, but that's not the point of our pregame show today. The Stars are hosting the Utah Hockey Club for the last time, maybe until they announce their team mascot name, maybe, unless they stick with Utah Hockey Club. We'll talk about all that stuff coming up here on DLS.
Get ready, boys.
It is a Saturday night in Dallas. It's the final home game of the regular season for the Stars, and they welcome in for the second time this year the Utah Hockey Club. Now, Luds, Craig Ludwig, our producer John Andersen is here. I'm Owen Newkirk. We are going to preview all the stuff about this game tonight, but we were just talking about the name because the Utah Hockey Club will not be called that, we think, after next Thursday or at some point in the offseason. They're going to announce their team name. One of the options is to stick with Utah Hockey Club. And I think if they do that, they'll incorporate the Yeti logo, but they just won't be called the Yeti, which is such a half a cop-out for me because the logo looks really cool. Yeah. Just call himself the Yeti. Find a way to figure out with Yeti coolers an agreement so you can be the Utah Yeti. It's perfect.
You would think one billionaire could talk to the other billionaires and figure it out.
Do you think billionaires get along all the time?
I do.
Do you?
Yeah. They all are running in the same circles.
Are they all taking jacuzzis in their money?
Well, I don't know if they want to outdo each other, but yeah, you know what? You're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah, I know, right? Two non-billionaires right here. Although you might have $1 billion in some currency that's worth a lot of money at some point, so you never know.
I kind of do.
Yeah, see? And
it's worth it's worth about this much right here.
Half a paper. I love it. Luds, the lineup tonight is questionable because the Stars are, for all intents and purposes, locked into the number 2 seed. There is a sliver of mathematical possibility they could catch the Winnipeg Jets. But even Pete DeBoer yesterday at practice and today in the pregame was talking about, we know we're playing the Colorado Avalanche. We're locked in. That's over. All our focus is getting right for the first round. He's saying the right things because I don't think there's worth any effort on their part, and probably not on ours, talking about the things that need to happen for the Stars to still catch the Jets. That went out the window on Thursday.
Well, I think there's areas and there's times and spots where you can try to sell hope. I don't think this is necessarily the one because there's not a lot of hope there in that scenario. Right now, my opinion, everything is focused towards let's get our game on track. If for any reason that would happen, awesome. If it doesn't happen, we're getting focused and we've got 3 games and we've got 3 opponents that, however they're going to play, whoever they're going to put in the lineup. But we're going to play our game. We're going to play the way that we need to play, regardless of who we play against. And most times that's what I like. I mean, if you believe in your game and your style and your lineup and everything like that, don't worry about the other one. We play the way that we play, and we feel it's the best way that we play. We've been playing it for 82 games. We're not changing much, so let's get it back to where it's as close to 100% as we can get it to.
Burned Oils is already firing off in the chat. You wouldn't believe how many times, including, I hope they stick to Utah Hockey Club just to bother Owen. You're never getting eggs that way. And 2, but Luds is rich from the heart, which is even better than being financially rich.
I know a couple of people that would disagree with that. I do. More than a couple.
Tyler Seguin's not going to play tonight. We know that because, A, I think they would have made a big fanfare this morning, but B, they called up Alexander Petrovic from the AHL's Texas Stars this morning because they have plenty of cap space with Seguin still on LTIR. They can do that. But if they want Seguin to be activated from LTIR, they can't call up another guy. They actually have to send Liam Bichel down. So just the fact that they brought up Petrovic, to me, Luds, this morning knew, well, we're not going to see Seguin today. We might see him Monday or Wednesday, but it's definitely not going to be today.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think he would have gone through some – you would know it. I just think you would know if you did. But then again, I don't even know why they'd want to keep it a secret. What's the point? I mean,
I don't think there's any reason.
It's not about anything tonight, especially for Utah. So it's not like they're going to be changing their whole game plan around, if Tyler Seguin is in or out.
We have a big milestone tonight, and I want to share a couple of notes on Mikael Granlund because he is going to play in his 900th career NHL game tonight. As you can see, very high draft pick of Minnesota back in 2010, and in almost 900 games, he has 610 career points. And then look at the bottom, you can see where he's played. Obviously, a ton in Minnesota, really good run in Nashville, then an end-of-season trade for Pittsburgh, last 2 years with San Jose, and now here in Dallas. Luds, when you look at the overarching career from 2012 to the present for Mikael Granlund, this not very tall but really effective finish forward, what kind of things do you think of when you think of Granlund?
I think of a dependable, reliable player that you can probably put anywhere in the lineup. And, he probably fits in your middle six. I would say that's probably where he is. But he can kill penalties if you need him to. He gets on the power play in the second half of that. But what he does most, I think he supports who's ever with him. Whatever two forwards he's playing with, he can be in there. He's the conscience of the line a lot of times because he'll be that guy that as they go offensively, he'll kind of always be slanted to make sure that there's an outnumbered rush. It ain't happening on my watch. So I think the other two forwards that play with Granlund know he's that type of a player, and that doesn't take away from what he can do offensively. But he's not Hinson, he's not Robo, he's not Rantanen kind of guy. But and you look at it, and and again, I always go back to the old guys that I played with. I mean, he's not quite Yuri Lettinen from the standpoint of everything that Lettinen could do, but the responsibility side of the game is right there, like Yuri had.
It was Utah Mammoth. That's the other one. The Mammoth. I had to look it up. So Hockey Club, Mammoth, and Outlaws are the last three. Yeti were close, and the Wasatch were briefly a finalist. I wouldn't hate the Mammoth.
Aren't they all kind of revolving around the Yeti figure? I mean, the Yeti, the Mammoth.
It is.
The Wasatch.
The only one that's different is the Outlaws.
Or Sasquatch?
Sasquatch. I wouldn't hate Sasquatch either. That'd be kind of fun. But I wouldn't mind the Mammoth. That wouldn't drive me nuts.
Yeah, I would like that.
But I like Yeti better. Okay. So with Granlund in, the Stars have one other element, and no one better to talk about this than our own Craig Ludwig. When a player in the NHL or even in the minor leagues has a big milestone, there's always this sort of subtly referenced money on the board. Can you tell a little bit to the listener viewers what money on the board means for players that have these big milestone games?
Well, I'm kind of going a direction that you probably don't think or want me to.
Okay.
I'm wondering, why is this a big milestone?
I've never heard number.
Never heard.
It's like, no, but seriously, it's
the
100
big
games,
milestones
205.
are 1 game, 1,000 games. That's it. And then you can talk about 1,200.
Well, talk to your buddy Mo about 1,500.
Well, that's $14.99. Yeah, but
still
no,
a sore spot.
I'm saying I've never heard the 900. Yeah, of course it is. I mean, it's longevity, but I don't look at it. I've never heard it as a big milestone.
No, it's not. It's not one that's celebrated like
my big
silver
milestone
stick.
Was 2.
Two games or 200?
2 games. I got to 2. I was happy when I got to 2.
But you guys must have had money on the board.
No.
For the team party funds and stuff like that?
No. I mean, you had a party.
I feel like they do that all the time.
There was
now.
always a party after 1,000 for the guys that got to 1,000, but never 900, never 800, 700.
See, now it feels like forever. Like, I remember when Vern Fiddler hit 700, his wife had these massive, 6-foot-high balloons erected in their front yard to celebrate. I mean,
really?
Oh yeah, it was on Twitter. It was
for
a
what
big
number?
700 games. It's a big round number. I think maybe that's something that's changed from your generation to now.
Here's why it could be changing, is because these guys don't have to play to 1,000 and 1,100 and 1,200. And again, there was some talk today
because the salaries are higher.
Because the money, they don't have to. I mean, they've got a ton of money by the time they're 25 or 26, and so I think all of a sudden they get to a point, and good for them because it's wear and tear on your body. I mean, we hung around as long as we could, and it was about bungee cords and duct tape, to get into the lineup every single night. So, but I've never heard a thing about 900. But all it tells you that you're that kind of a player. You're a durable player, and you can. And not only that, but you play through things. When you get to 900, and you're not a top line guy, when you're that middle guy, or you're that number 6, number 7, 5 defenseman, and you kill penalties and you got to bang around and stuff like that. And you can keep yourself put together and you keep hanging in there. I don't know how many times Granlund has been traded. I'm guessing only 3 or 4 because he seems like a player a lot of teams would want.
I think he was only traded the
2
couple
times. This would be the 3rd.
Well, he definitely got traded midseason to Pittsburgh at the deadline and then here to Dallas. I just don't remember, and I guess I could look it up.
Wasn't he in San Jose?
Well,
he went from Minnesota.
He started in Minnesota for a long time. Then he played in Nashville for a while. And I don't know if he got traded to Nashville. I'd have to look it up.
This would be like 3.
This is game number 5, or this would team number 5.
It's 5. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's 5 trades, so I can tell you in a second. But the one thing we were talking about off air about, Mikael Granlund, Mikko Rantanen's playoff prowess. And that's the thing about Granlund that excites me. What we saw at the Four Nations, he really rose to the occasion in really hard playing conditions. Pace, no space, top-level players covering you at every moment. And he excelled in that. And I think that his game is going to elevate and excel in those playoff games for the Stars as well.
Yeah, like I said, I just think that the pressure doesn't get to this guy. You can see that. So the moment doesn't get too big for him. And that's because he's not counted on as being, I think this is the same for a lot of players. I mean, when you're not counted on, like the top 6 guys, your top 4 or 5 forwards, obviously, there's pressure on you to make the big plays at the right time. In the big games, you make the right plays and things like that. So I think sometimes the guys in the middle there, you just go about your business. And so nobody's really saying, man, you got to pick up your game and we need a couple goals out of you tonight. And you're like, really? Like, that's not my gig. So that's why I think he's just, I love having these kind of guys on your team because that can move up and move down. And I don't think he's a steady guy that's going to play, on that top line. But if you need him there to play 3-4 games while somebody's kind of recovering from something, you're not going to lose a lot.
So the answer to your question is he's been traded 3 times.
Okay, but he's been on 5 teams.
He's been on 5 teams.
Okay.
So after starting with the Wild, he signed as a free agent with Nashville. Nashville traded him as part of the Erik Karlsson trade. Nashville traded him to Pittsburgh as the trade deadline time. Pittsburgh traded him to San Jose as part of the Erik Karlsson deal. Remember, Karlsson was along with a prospect and a third back in August of 2023, and the Sharks got Granlund, Mike Hoffman, Jan Rutta, and a first. So that was the only time he was traded in the offseason. And then his 3rd time being traded was this year for Dallas.
I think it's easier and better being traded in the offseason versus
way easier because you have time to figure out where you're going to live, setting up, getting used to the team, and playing a full season. The mid-season trade has to be really hard.
Yeah, unless you're going to a team, hopefully – coming here, there's some Finnish guys and he knows guys. And I think that's a little bit easier of a transition. It's when you don't know anybody, when you're just going to a brand new team that you never played with any of the players and you really don't hang out in the summer with anybody. That's the one you kind of like a church mouse. You just kind of
even if they didn't have the Finnish guys, he came up basically around the same time with Minnesota's Matt Dumba and calls Dumba one of his closest friends.
Yeah, I mean,
then he played with Duchesne for a long time with Nashville, so there's the playing chemistry there. And then all the Finnish guys that he knows pretty well, that helps. And that's a lot more comfortable.
It doesn't just help on the ice. I think more importantly, it helps off the ice. If you got kids, here's the school that you need to look at. Here's the area you want to, the restaurants you want to go to. Bring your wife in, and you guys want to be in this neighborhood. All that kind of stuff is a lot easier.
Speaking of scoring and being comfortable, Wyatt Johnston was on a really nice scoring streak.
I was wondering when somebody's going to say, oh, Wyatt's in a slump.
Well, I'm not asking that.
He's just saving it for the playoffs.
Wyatt Johnston hasn't scored for 4 games. That's right after a 7-game goal scoring.
I don't even care if he scores in the next 3.
Yeah.
As long as he scores in game 83, 84, 85, that's fine. So, I think that especially when you get to a spot when they're, 98, 97% who you're going to play. Yep. You kind of know your opponent. You kind of start mentally, you don't check out of these games, but it's hard not to look to game 1 of the playoffs, especially when you know who you're playing. And it's not like every game is that important. Like it's going to knock you out of the playoffs or you're not going to get into the playoffs. You're in the playoffs and really you're in the spot that you're going to be in. Yes, there's a slim chance you can jump above it, but you're not dropping back anywhere.
Let's talk about that some more, of what Pete DeBoer wants to see from the Stars and maybe some possible lineup news for both the Stars and the hockey club from Utah here on DLLS. Let's talk about Sleeper. It's the best fantasy league platform out there. You can put your puck or your ball knowledge to the test by picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less than their projected stats each week. Tonight, we're going with John in just a second because he's feeling a little bit better. He didn't win last night, last game, but he was awfully close to doing so. We'll see what he has in a moment. With Sleeper, the more picks you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. Sleeper keeps you in the loop with instant alerts for breaking news and major injuries. You can stay ahead of the game, keep track of league updates in real time, so you're always informed and ready to outsmart your friends. If you think you have what it takes, new users can download the Sleeper app and use the code DLLS Stars. DLLS Stars. See, right down there. To get $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest. Apply it to any contest. Doesn't have to be your first. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. John?
As Owen noted, we have no idea what the Stars lineup is going to be tonight, so I had to factor that into making the selections for this Sleeper entry. So it is very Utah heavy. So we're going with Clayton Keller to score more than 0.5 points. Ian Cole, less than 2.5 blocked shots. And you'll have to help me out, Owen. What is the name of this goalie?
His name is Karel Vejmelka.
We're taking that guy to record less than 24.5 saves. And because on Sleeper, you do have to select players from more than one team, we're going back to the well. Esa Lindell, more than 2.5 blocked shots. Although, if he doesn't end up playing, then pick someone else and put it in there. I don't know what to tell you.
Very highly possible that Esa and Harley both get scratched.
And that would be $10 wins the people, $93.10.
Thank you, John. And by the way, let's start with that, Luds.
Did we say Vejmelka under 24?
We said less than 24, Luds.
Yeah. I think they're going to go off tonight.
Okay.
I'm going over on that one.
Vejmelka, Karel Vejmelka.
What if all the forwards have the flu and they're all scratched?
I'm just saying.
These are things we're taking into account.
Karel Vejmelka will play.
I try to tell you, every other time, and you never listen and you never win. So whatever.
Never win.
Utah's goalie, Karel Vejmelka, has started.
They're going to have almost 15 shots in the first period tonight.
You think?
Yeah.
He's going to have to play the drop then, John.
Yeah, not if it's Oscar Beck and Colin Blackwell on your top line. Because
I don't know.
I don't know. They're the ones that spend the most time in the offensive zone lately.
Colin Blackwell, he's real stupid though, Luds.
Not stupid, just not smart.
Oh, why are we down on Colin?
Why are we down on Colin?
Yeah. Why are you guys down on Colin?
Ask yourself that.
Fellas, John, do you have a breaking news sounder you can play?
Uh-oh.
No.
Okay.
Well, Tyler Sagan in the
I'll
lineup?
play this instead.
No.
I need a Miller Lite.
Per Dallas Stars PR, Mason Marchment, Stars forward, has an illness and is out of the lineup tonight. For maintenance purposes, defensemen Thomas Harley and Esa Lindell will also not play. There you go, Luds. Your instant reaction to 3 different players not playing in this hockey game.
Well, Esa, no-brainer. That to me is the guy that needs a break. I think over the last 10 games, and we talked about it a couple times a little while ago, there was some things that Esa was doing that he looked a little bit tired. And why not? I mean, he's out there and he plays all the hard minutes. Marchment, is that the flu one? Maybe?
Marchment with an illness.
Touch of the flu?
Yep.
Yeah, and Thomas again. You with no, I don't think Miro's coming back. I heard this morning he was. I don't know. We're kind of surprised about that. But anyway, if Haskin is not back, you got to expect that you're going to see Thomas Harley playing and Esa, both of these guys are going to play 25 to 28 minutes, 29 minutes sometimes. And if you get into overtime, all that kind of stuff. So keep some gas in the tank somehow and find ways. And if you need to rest them another game, rest them another game. Give them one game before they get into the battles.
So I don't have the warm-up lines yet, but if you see that you're going to have Alex Petrovic in the lineup and 2 left shot defensemen. Petrovic's the right.
Harley Smith must be going in tonight.
So Brendan Smith will have to play.
Yeah.
But that still leaves 4 right-handed defensemen. How are you going to work that?
I don't think you're...
Does it matter much?
No, it doesn't matter. Why? I mean...
Is Matt Dumba your power play quarterback tonight?
He probably is.
Or is it Cody Ceci?
You know what? They might go with 5 forwards. Who knows?
Yeah.
Because if they're splitting that up, listen, this isn't a bad time. Yes, you want to get your game in order, but with guys like that out, you can experiment a little bit. You know what I mean? Like you can throw a guy into a spot where you maybe You know, if something happens in the playoffs and that guy's not there, what happens if Thomas Harley, you know, takes a shot and has to leave a game early?
You talking about the last 3 games of the
I'm talking about
the playoffs.
Game 1 of the playoffs. What are you going to do on the back end then, as far as power play? I mean,
yeah.
Do we have a better option than Dumba? I believe so. I think
if they go 5 forwards, they've talked about Rope Hintz.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is maybe you try those kind of things over the next 2 or 3 games and, you know, get some of that in, because you can do it in practice. It's not the same as doing against a different opponent.
John, get your bell ready. Joe Pavelski.
He's coming back?
No.
Oh.
Used to play the point a bit on the power play.
Apparently not. The bell's broke, so Joe can't come back.
So would you, because we keep talking about Wyatt playing similar to Joe, different, but similar game in some regards, would you ever put Wyatt Johnston at the point if you needed a power play forward?
No, not really, because I like his quickness down low.
Yeah.
You know, he makes so many good, quick little plays in tight areas in front of the net. He's not afraid to go there. He's not one of the biggest guys, but he doesn't play like that affects him. I just think his quickness gives defensemen more issues below the hash marks in the offensive zone. So I think from that standpoint, and he can recover pucks. He's quick enough that if you need a second guy to get in on it and recover a puck or take that 50-50 puck and little help, he's quick enough to get there. So by putting him out there on the point, you take away all of that from his quickness. I don't even know who the right guy is, but I'm just saying I think you could go with 5 forwards if something, you know, ridiculous happened to Thomas Harley. And you know who they might go? They might even take Essa back there. Essa's kind of similar to him. He gets the puck and he shoots it. If he's in the lineup,
oh, that's true. I mean, Essa's out tonight for maintenance, but Essa can definitely play the point on the power play.
That's what I mean. I think
he's underrated with his offense.
Yeah, and he always just makes the right little play.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't have to dance around somebody, make somebody move.
That's your answer. If you don't have Miro in the lineup and Harley, I think Essa's the first guy back there. And then Dumbo could be the second guy.
Yeah.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Utah Hockey Club for a minute. Besides their name, I was looking through their stuff this morning, Luds, because I'm trying to sit there and go, they got eliminated from the playoffs on Wednesday night when Minnesota beat San Jose 8-7 in overtime. That officially eliminated the hockey club. They had a really good stretch of games. The last 7, they're 4-1-2, 700 hockey. And they almost caught. They almost closed down the last wild card. Not quite. So I went back and looked, and they're a team that's in the hunt.
Scrappy.
They're a scrappy team. To me, when I was looking at it, there are 2 stretches of the season that really doomed them because they never had a super long winning streak, but they were always slightly above 500 with 2 exceptions. One was after winning their first 3 games of the season, they then went on a 4-9-3 run over the next 16 from the middle of October until right before Thanksgiving. That's 344 hockey. That's not good. Then around Christmas until mid-January, they went 2-8-1 in 11 games. That's 227-point percentage hockey. You put those together, that's a 27-game stretch where they went 296. That's not good. To me, if they just went 500 over that combined span, that's 11 more points. They would have had 96 and they'd be in a playoff spot. So that shows you, in my sort of thinking is, when you're a team that's sort of on the cusp of the bubble of a playoffs, if you have a couple of long ruts, it makes it really hard to get into the playoffs.
There's probably about 14 other teams that can say the same thing.
Exactly, yeah.
That's why they're going to be golfing in a week.
And as much as the Dallas Stars fans are really down on the team at the moment, they had a great start. Even though their top guys weren't playing really well, they never had long losing streaks. 4-game right now winless.
They're going to finish. Are they going to finish in the top 5?
They're third in the league in points right now.
In the league.
So it shows A, our expectations and standards are very high, but B, 14 other teams or so would kill to be in the Stars.
Yeah,
maybe even more.
Yeah. Well,
what do you think about the Utah Hockey Club this year?
Well, I think that's kind of their makeup. I mean, when you go through their lineup, even right now, their top line is the only one over the last 7, 8, 9, 10 games. Their top line is the only ones that are doing anything. There's nobody else in the bottom 9, and their defensemen are what they are. Sergachev, Jersey's a interesting one for me. I think he can kind of be that quick, squiggly guy that gets up and jumps into the play.
He could be the Spurgeon, the Morrissey.
Yeah, he can do a little bit. But again, they don't. They are what they are. You know, I mean, they're just an average team, and if they would have gotten in, maybe, I don't know if they'd win around.
They have the other problem they had,
and it's the baddest spot to be.
So why do they have those down stretches? One, they had inconsistent play and scoring, and they have over 230 man games lost. Durzi missed almost the first 50. He got hurt in the beginning of the season. John Marino, who's out again, he hurt his back and missed a big chunk of time.
Such a promising player.
And they were really excited about their D-core with getting Sergachev, getting Durzi, signing Marino. And I think Kesselring has made some nice steps this year as a player. And then two of their big guys, they had to go trade for Olli Maatta just to get it. I still think when you look at these young guys, Keller's not young, but he's young-ish. Gunther, Cooley, Keller, they've got some players that if you continue to build around them, I think they're going to be scratching on the...
Those are the little fancy guys.
Yeah.
And I think I really like Sergachev. I don't think he's a number one, though. I think he's a 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so they need that number one guy. And again, Durzi that you talked about. I just think that, and unfortunately for these kind of teams, the one spot that you don't want to be really is in the middle of the pack as far as building out for the future. I mean, you're going to have to use some drafts and or some picks, and you're going to have to make some moves because you either want to be at the top or you want to be way at the bottom if you want to end up with some good players and you can pick high in the draft.
I have to show you this because it was going through my Twitter feed while I was waiting to see Stars warm-up lines. Winnipeg is playing at Chicago tonight, and Luds, we can't show it on our screen, but they can listen to your reaction to this play with Connor Hellebuck. If I hit play, there he goes. Oops.
Oh, look at that.
And Nick Foligno. You don't see Connor Hellebuck make those kind of mistakes very often, do you?
No.
So Hellebuck goes to play a puck out by the right wing faceoff circle.
I do think
turns
they
it
have
over.
the ability to come back on Chicago, though.
Chicago's got a couple goals already.
I think they can probably recover.
Yeah, you're probably right. So not knowing how they're going to line up, we're still kind of figuring that out. Knowing that Utah's eliminated, I have to bring this up because you and John were chirping each other about sleeper as we came through. So it took me a couple attempts, but I want to bring up Karel Vejmelka. This will be his 23rd consecutive
He's going to play
start.
them all right to the end.
It's insane because they're eliminated, but their backup has never played an NHL game now. They sent Jackson Stauber down to play in the AHL a little bit more. Since February 23rd, Vejmelka has played every single game for the hockey club, and he's been good. 12-6-4 with a 2.42 goals against, save percentage just above 90, 903. And in that span, he leads the league in games played, time on ice, tied for first in wins, 5th in shots against, and 4th in saves. For everyone talking about being worried about overworking a goalie, they're playing him as much as they could possibly play him.
Out of necessity. They have to. But they were trying to make it into a playoff spot. Even though that they're out now, I think they owe him. And I think he's going in there and saying, I want to play them all.
Yeah.
I want to play. And why not? If you want to get on a stretch and run the string out for yourself, I think he deserves to do that because he's got the record that he says he has, and he's done everything you can for a goaltender that is limited at times. So, good on him, and hopefully they allow him to play the string out.
So we showed you the lines for Utah. John, quick flash with the Stars lines from the last game. This is how they lined up. Now, we know Marchment's not going to play. If you put Blackwell back in, I don't think you're just going to drop Blackwell up with Duchesne and Grant. Do you think we'll see a little more of... Do you think we'll see Duchesne and Rantanen again tonight? Something they tried at the end of the Winnipeg game? Or are they going to try to give Robertson, Hintz, and Rantanen some more runway?
I think you need to leave the Hintz line together if you can. I would try to... let them keep on working on that consistency. I think that's going to be your line. I could see if you move Steele up there, maybe... but then you're missing a center down there.
Well,
so
you could put Oscar Beck in the middle. Because Beck could be in the middle. You could go Dodonov on the left and Blackwell
I'm just
on the
thinking
right.
Who would be the best guy to play in your top 6?
Can you throw Granlund on the left and put Bork up there? Or Dodonov? Do you put Dodonov up with Duchesne and Granlund?
I think they all sound good right now. Yeah.
And then the Stars defense real quick. This is the last game. Harley's going to be rested and Lindell. So in comes Petrovic and Smith. Now,
I'd put Bichel up there with Labushkin.
Here's the thing. Petrovic played as a D partner for a lot of this season in the AHL with Bichel. Yeah. Would you put them together?
Well, you could, but is that going to be your top pair? Who's the number 2 defenseman?
With Harley and Lindell out?
No, just who's your number 2?
Well, I mean,
Essa or Harley is going to be 1 or 2, right? But in these pairs this year, who's been number 2? Labushkin?
We can't even say that. But no, because they don't play those. They don't play the minutes that a number 2 defenseman would play.
Well, that's because their minutes are there because of special teams.
Yeah.
But I mean, who are they matching up? Generally, what they're doing is they're trying to get Essa out there against the top offensive line.
So I think
does
it would
that
be
mean it's Cece? See, that's my point. Is we can't go, oh yeah, that's a good pair. I mean, and from a standpoint of a pair, I'm not talking about Essa. I'm talking about a pair.
Yeah, maybe. That's an interesting one. The pairings on this team, especially with Mirad, are a little bit harder to pin down, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Casey DeSmith gets to start. Interestingly, in the last couple weeks, they have not started Jake in back-to-back games. It's been alternating, and it's because A, it takes a little bit of the workload off, but B, Casey DeSmith has been good enough. He deserves to get those games.
Yeah, his last outing wasn't great. I mean, there were a couple goals that. Well, I'm just saying.
You're talking about the game on Monday or Tuesday against Vancouver. That wasn't his fault. Are you talking about the Pittsburgh?
I think I'm
game?
talking about the Pittsburgh game.
Well, that was thanks a lot for the Thomas Harley turnover where he crashed.
Well, I know, but there were a
CC.
couple. There were a couple that weren't up to his same standards as me. See, he's raised his bar.
He has.
Smith has raised his bar, so we expect that. So.
All right, so we're
good luck, Casey. Now you take out your 2 top defensemen. You got Marchman out tonight, and you don't know who's playing with who.
Let's see what happens.
Go get him, Casey.
We'll have you a full breakdown for the post-game show. Luds and I will be here along with John, and our buddy Sam's still getting better. So, Sam, we wish you well. We'll see you when we see you here on the DLLS Stars broadcast. Thanks very much. Post-game after tonight. Enjoy the game.
I believe that they are going to crush these guys tonight.
We all silly like the mayor.